So you just got done copying down some of these definitions. We know that chapter 4 is all about transformations. So it's moving a pre-image and changing that pre-image into a new image. Lesson 4.1, we're working with translations. A translation is a type of transformation. And all a translation is, it's a vertical or a horizontal slide. So you can kind of see in this picture here, triangle ABC, the blue triangle, is the pre-image. It's what we're starting with. And we're sliding it to get our new image, which is the red triangle. We would call this red triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. That's what the little apostrophe, how you read that. And so there's different ways to perform translations. We can translate a pre-image using a vector or what we call a rule. And that's what we're going to see in the next examples. So go ahead and turn to page 95 in your journal if you're not there. And we're going to start with number 7. We're only going to do one of these. We're going to skip 4, 5, and 6. It says the vertices of triangle ABC are a 1, 2, and I've graphed that. Be careful when you graph. This graph counts by 2s. And so you have to make sure you take that into consideration when you're graphing your points. B is at 5, 1, and C is at 5, 4. So I went ahead and I graphed this triangle. This is a pre-image. It's the triangle that we start with. Our job is to translate triangle ABC using the vector 1, -3. And then we're going to graph that final image. So remember, a vector tells us which direction something is moving and how far. So what this tells us, the horizontal component is +1. So we need to take triangle ABC and move it to the right 1 unit. And the vertical component is -3. So we also need to take triangle ABC and move it down 3 units. So we're going to do this to each point in the triangle. Okay, I'm going to go to point A. I need to move it 1 to the right and 3 units down. 1, 2, 3. Just be careful. Remember, this graph counts by 2s. So here is the new location of A. When I graph it, I need to call it A prime. Put an apostrophe next to it. I'm now going to do the same thing to point B and point C. So point B, I'm going to move it 1 unit to the right and 1, 2, 3 units down. Call it B prime. C, I'm going to move it 1 to the right and 1, 2, 3 units down and call it C prime. I am then going to go back and connect. So you can see the triangle has not changed size or shape. It has just been slid 1 unit to the right and 3 units down. So that's one way we can perform a translation. We also can perform translations using rules. And what a rule is, it's very similar to component vectors, but it describes what happens to your X and Y coordinates of your pre-image to get to your image. So I'll give you an example here. We have a picture of a translation, and we need to write a rule for the translation of quadrilateral PQRS to quadrilateral P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime. So this quadrilateral is our pre-image. This is where we're starting. And I know that because there are no apostrophes. This is the final image. So we want to ask ourselves, what is the translation? Which direction and how far? So what I do, I pick a point. I'm going to pick point P. And I'm going to figure out, how did it move from point P to P prime? I'll do my horizontal component first. Point P was at an X coordinate of 1. And it moved 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right. So it has a horizontal component of positive 4. What you'll notice is P prime, when you move it 4 units to the right, you added 4 to an x-coordinate of 1 to get an x-coordinate of 5. So our rule, what we do is we start with our x and y coordinates, and we're going to describe what happens to those x and y coordinates after the translation. So we use this arrow to kind of show this is what's going to happen after. So what happened to the x coordinate of point P after we moved it? We moved it 4 to the right. And so what we did is we took the x coordinate of point P and we added 4 to it to get the new x coordinate of P prime. So it's really similar to a vector. Your horizontal component is positive 4. And so you just say that you added 4 to your x coordinate. Now let's figure out what that vertical component was. So here, you start at your y coordinate of 2 and we move up 1, 2, 3. So what's happening is if our vertical component is 3, to get our new y coordinate of P prime, we added 3 units to the y coordinate of P. So this is our rule. The rule of the translation is xy maps to x plus 4, y plus 3. We're going to do the same thing in number 9. We have to figure out what the rule is. So you really only need to pick one of the points and count the horizontal and vertical components. I'll pick point Q. Okay. Here's my pre-image. Here's my final image. So my horizontal component, to go from Q to Q prime, I have to go 1 to the right. So what's happening is I'm taking my original x coordinate and I'm adding 1 to it because I moved 1 to the right. Then my vertical component, I move 1, 2, 3 units down. And so what's happening is I'm taking my original y coordinate and I'm subtracting 3 from it because we moved down 3. So this is the rule for my translation. That is how my x and y coordinates got changed to become the new ones. Number 10 and 11, use the translation. So they give us a rule. They tell us how this shape is going to move, and we have to figure out what are the coordinates of the image. So in number 10, if this is our translation rule, we need to figure out what is the image of J4, 5. So this is our pre-image. And we're going to take this point and we're going to shift it using this rule. So remember, when we add 6 to x, that is a horizontal component of 6 to the right. When we subtract 3 from the y coordinate, we're moving it 3 down. So all we got to do is we've got to take our x and y coordinate of our pre-image and add 6 to the x coordinate and take away 3 from the y coordinate. So 4 plus 6 will be what we do to get our new x coordinate. And 5 minus 3 will be what we do to get our new y coordinate. So let's go ahead and name this new image. Remember, it's the image, so I need a little prime next to J. So J prime will end up at 4 plus 6 is 10. And 5 minus 3 is 2. So if we were to take point J and move it 6 to the right and down 3, we would end up at the point 10, 2. This is our final answer. Now in number 11, it says, what is the image of r prime 0, negative 5? So again, we're still finding the image. So this is going to be our pre-image. I know it has a prime. Don't worry about that right now. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are we going to do to the x and y coordinates to get the image? They tell us we're going to add 6 to the x coordinate and subtract 3 from the y coordinate. So if I change this, I'm going to add 6 to 0, right? 0 plus 6. And I have to subtract 3 from negative 5. Negative 5 minus 3. This is going to be my new point. So let's go ahead and figure out what that is. 0 plus 6 is 6. And negative 5 minus 3 is negative 8. So if you take the point 0, negative 5, and you translate it using this rule, you're going to go 6 to the right and down 3. This is your new point. Now, what are we going to call this? Anytime you are translating something and you're getting an image, you're going to add an apostrophe. So this was r prime. So if we move r prime and we translate it, what we have to do is we have to add another apostrophe to say this is our new point. So we would call this r double prime. So just keep in mind, if there is no prime, you need to add it when you write your image. If there already is a prime, you're going to call it double prime to show that, hey, this is another new point.